Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Annette Cargioli, and I'm really excited today to put this on video and consequently onto YouTube so that more and more people can learn about it. Today I'm talking with my sister, Linda Collier, who has overcome symptoms of Parkinson's with an amino acid protocol that my husband, Dr. Ron Cargioli, and myself have learned a lot about. So much that we opened a online clinic to help other people who are suffering with Parkinson's. And that clinic, and you'll see it in our tagline, is hope-for-parkinsons.com. But we really wanted to do this so that you could see we're real people and to tell our story in a way that may actually help you to feel better about this disease if you have it, or if you have a family member who has it, and that you can start to see that there are some new alternative therapies that actually change the whole picture of Parkinson's, and it's pretty amazing. So today I'm talking with Linda Collier. Hi, Linda.
Hi, everyone.
And my husband, Dr. Ron Cargioli.
Hello, everyone.
So we're going to start this interview with Linda's experience. So tell us about when you were diagnosed, Linda.
I was diagnosed about 5 years ago, actually 5 years ago in July.
And what were the symptoms that you were going through that made you decide to go see a neurologist?
Well, earlier in the year, I had been experiencing tremor in my arm and in my right arm and my right leg. And it was becoming increasingly aggressive. I say aggressive. And we couldn't figure out why I would be having that tremor, so that's why I sought the advice of a neurologist.
I remember that, and I remember that we were all really concerned about you, and I mean, even your handwriting was affected, and it was really pretty serious and pretty scary and very easy to detect. Even clients in our office, where Linda is the receptionist at our office, people were actually noticing her tremor and asking her about what was going on and what was wrong. So when you went to the neurologist, was he pretty certain? Like, how certain was he that you had Parkinson's?
He actually gave me the Parkinson's diagnosis within probably 3 minutes. He assessed what I was doing. He had me walking up and down the hall, and based on the list that he goes by for diagnosis, he diagnosed me very quickly.
Did he offer any treatment? I mean, what was his prognosis and that kind of thing?
Well, his treatment plan was to take a drug that he had samples of in his office. He did not want me to take carbidopa because he said that's saved for later in your disease as you degenerate, the brain degenerates more. And he said, we'll see you back in a year to measure your degeneration.
Wow, I remember how emotionally distressed it was for you, and because you're my sister and we're really close, I was also very emotionally distressed over this. Tell me a little bit about what you went through the day you found out that you were diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Well, first of all, I felt like I was going to bust out crying when he told me that, but I held it in. And then I actually, we were planning on eating out for lunch that day, and so we got together and I told you what my diagnosis was, and I don't remember holding it in at that point like I did the doctor, but it scared me. It scared me.
And I mean, I'm going to say it totally scared me too, because up until this point, even though in our holistic clinic of over 25 years, nearly 30 years, we have seen a lot of diseases that people don't think can get better, but we have never at this point had any experience with Parkinson's. Really, all I really knew about Parkinson's was that it was really hard when you got it, and that Michael J. Fox had it and he wasn't better, and I really wasn't seeing anybody in the holistic field standing up and saying, oh yeah, I can help Parkinson's, including myself. So I was really nervous about this as well. And there was one doctor that we all were familiar with. His name is Dr. Marty Hins, and he's a medical doctor. And we had taken a class from him over 10 years before, and he was teaching a class about how to use amino acid therapy to help people with who had chronic obesity, who needed weight loss, and also he was teaching how to use amino acid therapy for people with chronic depression and anxiety. And we took that class, and we were actually using amino acid therapy and really successfully with people with depression, and we learned after that class how to effectively use these supplements in this way. We really only found out, I mean, the only reason we knew that Marty was using it for Parkinson's is because we were on his email thread, and he was sending emails out regularly talking about how now he was helping people with Parkinson's, and that he could use these same supplements he was using for depression and for people who couldn't stay on a diet and people with anxiety. He was using it for Parkinson's. So we had heard this, but I don't really think any of us ever thought we needed, or that we even kind of believed it. You know, I thought I might refer somebody to him if they ever came into my office, but it was just kind of still something that was a kind of a fantasy. And so later, you know, even though we knew about his claims, because he was claiming some big stuff. He was claiming that he was eliminating Parkinson's symptoms, and he was claiming that in some cases he could halt the progression of the disease altogether. This was mind-boggling to me. And here I am with you with this problem, and so that was all we had to go on, and we were very, very skeptical. And I really think that skepticism was just because we were all still afraid. You know, we were afraid about Parkinson's. I mean, just Parkinson's itself kind of makes you feel afraid because it's a terrible way to end your life. And we were afraid it would be too hard to do, and we were afraid that you might spend all this money or go his way and it would be worse, or it would just be a waste of time and just another sad story. I mean, there was just so much fear about it, even though we had read his emails. So, Linda, how soon after your diagnosis did you start Dr. Hins's protocol?
I would say within the first few weeks after the diagnosis, I contacted, or I should say Dr. Ron contacted Dr. Marty, and I was initially put on a protocol and increased dosages incrementally. And I was reducing some of the symptoms of the tremor. I never had a full elimination of symptoms, but there definitely was a reduction in the symptoms occurrences. But I was also having some nausea. I would take the supplements 6 times a day, and every time I would be sick up to an hour, which means I would be sick 6 hours a day. So in my mind at that point, it was several months later, at that point the illness, the nausea was more offensive to me because I needed to live a life. I needed to work. I needed to be you know, doing the things I do daily, and it was not letting me do that. And so I just stopped the protocol and went back to having a tremor.
So how long was it? I mean, I know that there was a space and time between the first, you know, the first attempt to do this protocol and the second attempt to do the protocol. So how much time happened in there, and was the reason that you went ahead and did it again because were you getting worse?
Yes, I was getting worse, but the reason I attempted to go ahead and do it again is because we had more information from Dr. Marty. He was refining his protocols, finding out what the reason was behind the nausea, adjusting it so that that would be reduced. And so I was without the protocol for approximately a year and a half to 2.5 years. I can't remember exactly how long. But about 2 years ago, I went back on the protocols, and that was in April, and by June and July, my symptoms were almost non-existent, and the nausea was not an issue any longer.
So on your second try with Dr. Hens, Dr. Ron Cargioli was your local support, and Dr. Hens walked both of you through the protocol. So I'd like to hear from Dr. Ron now. Can you, Ron, explain how this went, the consults with Dr. Hens and Linda, and what your part in it was and what was going through your mind as you walked through it?
Well, the main thing was having us get the right dosage of the dopamine. So the main thing that Marty did would we'd adjust her mucuna doses to get her dopamine correct. And that's kind of what we missed on the first go round, getting the mucuna right, getting the serotonin right, and that's why she was having some GI upset in the nausea issues. So that, that is where Marty really helped walk us through that.
I remember the week before, all of Linda's symptoms basically just vanished. I mean, it was so miraculous. I remember the conference call was going on, and Linda's symptoms had gotten far worse. She was emotionally and mentally feeling unstable. Her tremor was worse than ever. We were, well, I can say I was pretty terrified and not impressed with the protocol and wondering if Marty was actually making her worse with his protocols. And we all stood around the speakerphone and listened to Marty consult with Linda. And I remember Dr. Hens said, after he heard her describe, this is the worst week I have ever had with Parkinson's. And he didn't even skip a beat. He just said, this is great. You're almost there. I'm going to have you up the dose of dopamine, and then you call me next week. And that was the end of the call. And we all just looked at each other like we were I just remember that moment. It was such a defining moment. Inside of the week, all of Linda's symptoms were gone. It went from the worst she'd experienced to the best. It was the first time she was walking down the hall without the imbalance. She was writing her name. The tremor was just gone. It was so amazing. And that was the point where all of us said, we have got to learn more about this protocol, because clearly Dr. Hens knows what he's doing, and we didn't. We couldn't even understand how that worked. So that was the defining moment where we all decided to commit to more training. And in January of 2014, we opened our online Parkinson's clinic called Hope for Parkinson's so that we could make this treatment available to more people. Dr. Ron, can you tell us about your first year with this online clinic?
Well, the first year was a real learning experience, just learning how to manage people and trusting in the protocol and getting people to trust in the protocol. And so we're really hoping to take off this year and help a lot of people just using the mucuna, using the natural dopamine, keeping all their amino acids in balance, because anybody who does amino acid treatment knows if you give too much of one amino acid, you're going to deplete another one. And so that's the beauty of of the protocol is that it balances. There's more to it than just the L-DOPA. It balances your other amino acid systems, and that's what keeps your symptoms in control and actually helps stop the progression of the disease.
So what was your biggest surprise, Ron, in this venture? Because I know we both still see people at our clinic in Fishers, Indiana on a regular basis. However, this became kind of a, we opened it up for people wherever they are, because the management of this can really be done over the phone. And so what was your biggest surprise in the first year of helping people with this clinic?
I think the biggest surprise was, just how manageable it was to do over the phone, because people would always say, well, do I have to come in? And, I had people on the East Coast and people on the West Coast and people in between, and, they all thought, if I have to fly in there to see you, that's a deal breaker. So it was nice to know how easy it was to manage over the phone.
That's incredible. So what has been your biggest success that you've experienced in the first year?
Well, aside from, patients getting better, my biggest surprise is, my biggest success is, myself trusting in the protocol and, doing it the way it's supposed to, doing it according to the protocol as set up by Dr. Hinz, and we've had people that were bedridden. One lady in particular, a 60-year-old woman who had lived a holistic life. She was a massage therapist. She was a yoga teacher, and she was bedridden. She couldn't even walk out to the mailbox to get her mail without being exhausted. And within a couple of months, we had her, out on the beach, walking and playing paddleball with her husband and taking bike rides. So that was a huge success.
Wow. So I know that there's a lot of successes in this year, but it's not always all success. So what has been your biggest failure, or what has been the fail? What you wished you could have done better or experienced better?
Initially, when I started, I thought I could do it better. So I didn't quite follow, didn't tell people to do it the way they were supposed to do it, and it cost time and money to those people. Thankfully, they understood, and once we kind of took a step back and said, okay, we're going to do it according to the book, and when they got better, that was the big thing, is my failure. The other thing is I got more confident in my rapport with patients, and I could say, you're going to feel like crap, and I'm going to tell you to do something. You got to do what I tell you, and that was hard for me.
What have you learned about amino acid therapy and Parkinson's in this last year?
Well, the one big thing is trust in the protocol, and everybody reacts differently, so you really have to read the patient, listen to what they're saying, and make your changes in accordance with that.
Perfect. What is the most important message that you could give to someone with Parkinson's right now?
Ooh, that's a tough one. The best thing I could, the most important thing is, there is hope. It's a degenerative disease, but there is help and there's hope. And this protocol is as close to a cure as you're going to see, and as close to a cure as you're going to get. it's just so fabulous that, you know, people always say, well, Dr. Hinz should have the the Nobel Prize in medicine for this, and I say, yeah, he should.
So, thank you for that. Linda, your story is so amazing. And you have opened up doors for more people to heal from Parkinson's just from your story. And that's kind of amazing to me. Even though it's hard to have Parkinson's, I can see how your story and your healing and your journey with this amino acid therapy protocol for your Parkinson's it has opened the doors for someone with Parkinson's to see it is possible. There's someone right there. It worked for her, and I know there are more people that are coming along as well. We've seen more than you even who it has worked for. So what is the most important message, Linda, that you would give to someone with Parkinson's right now?
I would echo what Dr. Ron said. Trust the protocol. Trust the process. Know that it's going to take time and patience to get to where you need to be for full recovery or full remission of symptoms. It will work. Just trust the process.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Dr. Ron. Thank you for sharing this message and having an opportunity for people with Parkinson's to have an alternative that could bring them greater hope in their future. And if you're suffering from Parkinson's and you're watching this, or you have someone you love who's suffering from Parkinson's, you can find out more at our website, hope-Parkinson's, or I'm sorry, hope-for-parkinsons.com. And if you'd like to read more about this from Dr. Marty Hinz, there is another website. You can read more about this at neurosciencemyths.com. It's neuro, N-E-U-R-O, science, S-C-I-E-N-C-E, myths, M-Y-T-H-S.com. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. Bye.